Welcome to the Flowerlounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. I'm so excited to have Antoinette Beauchamp, and I wondered if you could tell our listeners a little bit about yourself in a snapshot and how you got here.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, wow. Well, I feel like it was divine that we're connected through flower essences and how I got here. Wow, I've been a coach for 3 years, over 3 years actually, because I started my journey several years ago, but actually started a business 3 years ago. And I mean, I lived many other lives, I feel, since now already at 32. When I was living in New York, I was living in New York City for, God, 8 years. And there I was working in fashion and in retail. And then I went through a huge transformational spiritual awakening through my coaching training and my yoga teacher training at 28 during my Saturn return. So everything has come full circle. I am now we've just recently changed our branding, and our main message is own who you are. And it's really a reflection of my journey of taking many different turns, but ultimately always coming back to myself and my true nature, which is so beautifully said in your bio on Instagram. Literally reading that today. And I love it. It's very aligned with where I'm at and where I feel like this journey of coaching and spirituality has taken me over the last few years, or maybe my whole life. So,
How do you own who you are right now? Or how are you owning who you
oh,
are?
it's a great question. I'm not afraid of being too much. I used to be afraid of being too much. I was when I was young, I was very wild child. And in this journey of self-discovery, I have discovered I'm going through this Ayurvedic course right now. I'm working with an Ayurvedic doctor, and I'm pure vata. I'm always moving. I'm super energized. And my balance, when I'm at balance, I've recently realized is when I am really energized. I used to think in yoga training, it was when I was super mellow, but it was actually when I was now I've stepped out of that a little bit and gone back to me. And me is literally just this. It's very I laugh a lot. And when I was on Essences and I did this workshop, which was so powerful, when I was aligned with my nature, I was cracking up and I felt so joyful. And so I feel like my true nature is to be joyful, but because so many people aren't feeling that way on a day-to-day basis. It always felt like I would walk into a room and be like, ooh, this is too much. Let me tame it down. I'm too happy for these people, or I'm saying too much, or my energy is too intense. And so I think I went from judging of my intensity and judging of the joy that I have, and I'm embracing it. And it just feels so good and
What did
aligned.
what advice would you give to other folks who are, in this climate of crazy weird 2020ness? How to not be afraid to be too much and not be afraid of being misunderstood.
Yeah. There's a lot of confidence building, I feel, and not being afraid of being too much. Because I do have clients that tell me, I'm so happy, but we're in such a crazy time. I feel bad for my happiness, or I don't want to be as excited because people aren't excited. And I would say that the fears are just illusions, because at the end of the day, people need the happiness and the joy and a little bit of the too much, I think. And those that sometimes judge it, it's oh, it's okay. It's just where they are. And if people are going to misjudge you and you're going to be misunderstood, it's kind of I always bring in projections and experiences. People are just on their own journeys and paths. And, if they're not ready for the too much that you're bringing, it's okay. they're not having a good day, or, maybe that's not their norm, and that's fine. It's more than fine. It is just is. So I would say to take a like from a lens of acceptance and just trusting that you standing in your light is actually guiding and supporting and helping others.
Too muchness. I love that.
Too much.
And then I really wanted to ask you about, tell me more about this concept of intuitive scheduling. Super curious.
Oh my God. Well, it's very aligned with my life of joy. So I work with a lot of high achievers, like entrepreneurs, and I mean, very similar to me, actually. My even recently, someone was like, well, like energy attracts like energy. And I've known that from my coaching, but I think it's really true because I've definitely attracted a lot of people like me that are like really intense and have really busy schedules and love to do. I'm a big fan of being, but I have a tattoo on my arm that says stillness and presence. And for a while, my boyfriend was like, "You're not still. Like, why do you have that tattoo?" And I was like, "It's a reminder. I'm like trying to remind myself to stay still." So the intuitive scheduling, believe it or not, is a method where it invites movement. It invites a lot of movement in your day based on your intuition. So throughout my clients' schedules and my own, I was realizing that I was completely drained and burnt out. Actually, we had an original date for this interview.
Mhm.
And instead, I was so burnt out. Like I was like I had calls back to back. I was not, because the intensity in me eventually gets to I do too much, and then it breaks. And I teach my clients like, be mindful of that. But here I am learning my own lesson, and I did not walk the talk at that stage of my life just a few short months ago. So anyway, intuitive scheduling is a method where you set boundaries on your calendar. So I basically have my clients creating a joy list and a peace list to help them balance all of the intensity and the sympathetic nervous system, just the fight or flight, right? That's like constant. And I'm like, hey, pause, create a break that's between 10 to 30 minutes or sometimes an hour. I try to take hour breaks throughout my day and do something on that joy list, on that peace list that's going to fuel your soul and your body or your mind in a aligned way so that you can come back to work even more productive, happier, like you just bringing your full self, like whatever that is for you. And it's really helpful. It's like a tool to create balance. But because I move so much, I created this with intuition because I feel like intuition is always moving. Like sometimes you'll intuit something and then the next minute you'll intuit something else, and your body will tell you one thing and your mind will tell you something else. And so anyway, it could include meditation. It could include a walk. I walk barefoot outside all the time in between calls to just like chill out because I'm like way up here. So I just like go to settle in because I'm like, that's what I feel like my soul needs. And yeah, so I have my clients modeling this and following this as often as they can. Eventually becomes just a lifestyle, like your way of being.
And so is there an element of it that's like, this appointment doesn't feel like the right timing right now. Let's schedule it in a week, or tell me about the actual like scheduling piece. Like,
Yeah, it's exactly that, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have your own calendar. I always say, or you manage your own calendar. If it's not urgent, if it doesn't have to be done right now, then push it out or cancel it altogether. Is this something that can be decided over email? Is this something that, especially when you're balancing digital technology and all of those things that can really be like an energy drain? So yeah, I invite that constantly. I used to, and I find that meetings, and I've had clients, I've worked with companies. And when I hear my co-founders or the leaders being like, we have nonstop meetings, I'm just like, okay, how can we integrate a little bit more of like space here? It's really just about space. So they'll shift the times and they'll create those 30-minute to an hour blocks in between if they can, when they can. But yeah, I'm a big proponent of being flexible with your schedule. So you could say that, listen, this isn't going to work this week. Let's do it next week. And just trusting yourself that that's okay, that the meeting will still come, the decisions will still happen, everything will still be there.
it's funny because I think that so often when we give ourselves the permission to cancel a meeting or reschedule, for example, the other party secretly is like, oh, good. Like, I just need it. It
Yeah.
didn't feel right for me either. They're not going to say anything, but secretly they're like, oh my God, I had so many things to do. I'm so glad she pushed it off till 2 weeks from now or whatever.
100%. I think everybody is excited about a cancellation because it's an opportunity for space again. You're like, oh, I get my time gifted back to me. That's amazing. And yeah, I mean, it's great.
And it's one of the ways I think that we can allay the guilt or the, I should do what I said I was going to do kind of thing, is just that sort of anticipation of like, well, maybe it's better for the other person too, also.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Versus making the assumption that it wouldn't be good for them. Absolutely. I'm all
Yeah.
about that.
Just recently, I'm looking at my schedule actually when our talk was coming up. I was kind of like reflecting on my own schedule, and something definitely shifted this year in terms of the old mode of operations was like a little bit of like cram it in. And there's something that's changed this year where I'm like, oh, got 2 appointments this day. Like, two is enough. I need the rest of that time to accomplish the work that I need to do. So, like, 2 meetings per day is my max. And not that I have like a hard rule for that, but I noticed that just recently I started looking at my calendar being like, well, no one has two. So let's go to the next day. What else do?
Oh my God, amazing.
And I,
I suggest that all the time.
oh, really?
Choose a maximum number of meetings a day or calls and say that's it. Cut it off at that. Sorry,
It's
you were
really
going to say
helpful.
something.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful. And I don't think I would have realized that. It just kind of happened organically. But when you kind of have this little secret rule to yourself, I don't know why we ever thought that we needed to, go crazy,
Yeah, I know.
like trying to be impossible superhumans.
It's literally just the do everything at once. Just like you said, like cram it all in. I think it's like a subconscious scarcity mindset. It's like, oh, we got to do it. Like, we're going to miss out if we don't, or like the time won't be there. And like, it has to happen now. I think that's like, if we think it's limited, right? I mean, which the
Right.
mind easily does,
Right.
especially with calendars. Because it's like literally, it's taking everything out of like time and space are illusions. Like, it's like totally human. It's like we have a calendar, we have something in front of us that we can't be like, oh yeah, this is my spiritual calendar. This is literally like my human calendar, like my time in it. And so then it becomes like this like limited box for you. And then you have to make sure you fit it all in. So yeah, no, I always say like absolutely have a maximum number of calls a day. I have minus three clients, and then I'll take one internal meeting and like a podcast interview like this or something. So maximum total 5, but that's on an ultimately packed day. And that's 5 hours, not 5 calls. So if I have like a 30-minute here and there, that's good. But yeah, I get really into the nitty-gritty of I think that's the coach in me. It's like, what's the next step? I always think of things in like terms of weeks and how much you can fit in and then days. And I really like break things down. It might be like my Virgo rising. I'm just like very much like, I like the planning of it all. I mean, it helps.
How about people becoming aware, or how do you help like if you're coaching someone, how do you help them become aware of the different cycles that they have during a day? Like, I don't know, maybe it's taken me 20 years to figure out that I write really well in the morning and I can write in the afternoon. I can write at night also. Probably the best would be right in the morning and then maybe late at night. Somewhere in the middle is a little rough. So
Yeah.
but then like afternoons are great for seeing people, but that's me. Some people are totally different. So what advice do you give to your clients for trying to sort of like back engineer their own cycles during the day and when they're most effective or creative or when they're
Yeah.
good at different activities?
It's such a good question. I always give experiments. I like word it in an experiment way. So say this week, let's experiment with this. So let's say in the morning you want it like, so they'll be like, I think in the mornings this will work for me. And sometimes we don't even get that granular. They'll make like a list of commitments and do them over the course of 2 weeks. We don't get as granular to the time of day. But if I had a client that were to ask me and we were to dive into that, and I definitely have, I've identified like when clients were morning people and not morning people. And I think, and actually, one of the articles that I've written was about you don't have to be a morning person to be productive, because some people, like you were saying, like they are more creative at night or in strange times. And some people love exercising at night versus the morning, and so on and so forth. So I say experiment with yourself and have fun with it. Like I think scheduling your life and doing things that you love and enjoy is fun. So like instead of being like, I have to do this and this is what I should do, right? Like eliminate the shoulds and just try something new out. Experiment with it and be playful with what you want to try out next. And then once you make those observations, like we do in mindfulness, like you're just mindful of it, you're aware, and then you say, oh, okay, that was me at 3 p.m. That was me in the evening, and this was me in the morning, and I'm going to try it differently next week. It's kind of like testing it out.
And do you block out on your calendar your joy stuff? Like, do you fill it out so
Yeah.
you make sure that you do it?
Yes. I'll show you on my phone. I literally have a block in between sessions, like no matter what. And I've recently recolored my whole calendar. This is how nerdy I am. So this is tomorrow. I have the yellow block is my intuitive scheduling, and everything else is like calls and stuff. So I have a block for, okay, at that point, even if I want to like go on my phone, I try to resist it completely. I'll be like, I'm going to go outside, or I'll call a friend or family member, because phone calls too, they get your energy up. So I like doing things that like nurture my energy or get my energy up. So it'll be like, if I need rest, I'll take a nap. If I need a phone call to like get out of my head and have some laughs, I'll call someone. So it's just like being playful with that time, but making sure you have that time.
Okay, I'm starting to understand. So when you call it intuitive scheduling, it is literally you're talking about the space that you're creating of
Yeah.
space. It's the space.
Yes. It's the space. It's the space where you're the most intuitive. So it's not like you're not resisting everything coming to your calendar. So I'm open when someone's like, do you want to call at this time? Again, within the confines of the boundaries that I've set. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. And then I'll find the time for the intuition to hit. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's good. Especially after a call, I always try to allow some space. And that's where the intuition comes in.
Right. Okay. Got it. So you're creating space so that you can be mindful or like rest in the space so that you can have like flashes of insight that will give you the most clear, decisive, effective, magnifying next steps.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's such a luxury, right? I mean, time is a luxury.
Yes.
And then once we have time, it's like, oh, let me check my Instagram or let me see what's happening or check my email or text or Slack or, oh my God, so much. So if you are disciplined to say, this is my 30 minutes of I can do whatever I want time.
Yeah. Oh my God. In my blocks today, I walked to the beach. I went for a swim in the ocean. I went for a walk without my shoes. I talked to my mom. Like I literally, and they were all things where I was like, ooh, this feels good. Like, and it was, and then I came back like energized. I ate nourishing food in my breaks. So it's like, yeah, it is designed to keep you in alignment really with, your nature, what you want to be experiencing in your life, all those things.
So what is the typical amount of yellow time in your schedule, like in a day?
I would say probably about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 hours of yellow.
Wait, so you fit in meals, call mom, walk with no shoes, and swimming in the ocean in 2 hours?
Yeah, because I went with my boyfriend. We only went to the ocean for 20 minutes. We had 20 minutes. I called my mom for 15. I literally did all those things. It's hysterical. It's definitely, I know, listen, I know it's not for everybody. I think some people would be like, wait, what, how? And I think for some, it takes a little bit to adjust. But again, this is for, I think also, and it depends on who you are. And as I digest this like true nature, and even through Ayurveda, understanding like Vata energy and how it's moving, like maybe this is for the Vatas that want to keep moving. Maybe this isn't for people that don't love moving. But I would still urge you to try it. It's like that thing, just be a little playful and have fun with it is the goal. Cause then I feel like you're having more fun with your life by just tossing some things in there.
I love it. Oh, That's so interesting. I love that. So I have like a habit of doing it at the, more like bookends, like in the mornings and then in the evenings, but throughout the day is sort of a new content.
Yeah, it's the greatest. I definitely encourage it throughout the day.
How much resistance do your clients have to putting down their phone during those times?
I would say my initial reaction is a lot, but with practice. So I do digital detoxes with my clients too. On the weekends, we start to like really like fully block it out. So they'll do 5 hours or 12-hour digital detoxes on the weekends. And that way they can be more present with their families or their friends or whoever is important to them in their lives and or just spend time alone. So those digital detoxes naturally then show them how beneficial it is and how much time they really have. When we put our phones down, we realize how much time we have and how much time we spend on our phones. So in 5 hours, they were like, I didn't know what to do. Like, I was like, what can I do next? Like, I had so much time available for me. So I think just from that and getting accustomed, it's all like the retraining of habits and patterns and retraining the brain a little bit to just not fall into it so intensely. And even if you do, you shorten the amount. So it's like, oh, I just looked at it for, 5 minutes and I put it away, or this was 10, I put it away. You like shorten the amount that you get hypnotized by it.
Yeah, it's like the perception of the day can be so different based on that, right? Like some days seem really long and some seem to just like fly by.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably flying by because you're like in hypnosis, like looking at all the things in work and
Mhm.
phone. And that's another thing about intuitive scheduling, because when you have those blocks, you get out of the hypnosis of whatever it is that you're doing and you spend time in the present with the things that you enjoy, even if it is just like a cup of tea.
I feel like you couldn't emphasize the importance of that enough because things are constantly changing, especially if you're able to choose what you do with the course of your day in every moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm doing that constantly. Like, am I doing I don't want to say right, like not right, wrong, but like, am I doing the juiciest thing? Am I doing the most effective thing, the most important, meaningful thing? Versus, we so often can get sucked into like, I'm just as guilty, little details or, doing little things that aren't that important, or maybe it's not the right timing or someone else could do them, or
Yeah.
so that we stay in our like zone of excellence all the time.
Hmm.
And do you also, in terms of intuitive scheduling, do you also use your intuition as a major decision-making point for, I don't know, who you take on meetings with or projects or software, or, like, are you one of those people that just sort of gets a feel from the email and, yep, no, or how does intuition creep into your business life?
Yeah. And decisions. It's a great question. I want to know about you too. Can you share too after? Intuition plays a huge role for sure, especially in content creation. I mean, all of that is flow. In the nitty gritty, though, I would say in the details, not all the time. I really trust my team to make the right decisions a lot, or like what benefits the highest good at that time. I just trust them for things like partners. I'll still say yes or no, but like they'll bring things to me, and I always ask like, what do you think? What do you think we should do? I'm just because I trust them. So I think delegation is a huge thing for me. But intuitively, in terms of like talking to a potential client, for example, I can intuit, but sometimes even my intuition gets a little bit muddied with judgment. And so I've been very like, I remember at one point, because of the high, let's use the term high vibe. I was working with a coach too who was like, oh, you attract high conscious entrepreneurs into your environment, and those are who your clients will be. And so for a little, I was like, oh, yeah, I want high conscious entrepreneurs. Yes. And so whenever I would have a conversation with someone that maybe didn't have the awareness yet of specific things or certain things and was in like a so-called like lower place, we'll say. And I know that there are energies higher and lower for sure. But I would say, oh, maybe that's not a good fit because they're low energy and I felt like that was more judgment. And I actually stepped up and just accepted things as challenges that I would grow from instead. So I think, and that honestly has expanded me a lot to who I work with, and it's just eliminated more judgment, So it's kind of strange to me. I don't know if I'm answering your question right, but yeah, it's the intuition to me is like, I do feel like ego gets in the way and of certain things, especially when things in business just tend to be more ego and like you're like solving problems or challenge, and you're like thinking of all that stuff, like all the stuff that's ego driven. So it's kind of like I've been saying to my clients, and one of the things that I've learned from one of my coaches too is like being and appreciating the 100% human and 100% spiritual. And I've just really dove into the human over the past year, and I love it there. And I love helping people that are fully in their human and working with people that are fully in their human, because then I understand them better. And I feel like that's where like the meat is of like understanding how to navigate this world, because we are still like very much here in the human 3D stuff. So the intuition, I think, to sum it up, is yes, but also I'm mindful of like what's judgment versus intuition for me. What about you?
I mean, I guess I'm experimenting a lot lately with like, for some reason, the last year, the volume of emails coming in of folks, maybe they're getting my email from some kind of list somewhere. So folks are like constantly pitching stuff. And so I've just tried experimenting with, reading it, the tone, like what's the energy coming out of the email. And if, just really quickly trying to like, yes, no, nope. Okay, it doesn't feel right. Nope. And then there are sometimes that the emails come through, these like random pitch emails of people you don't know, right? There's just something like sparkly about them that's like calling your attention, and then like allowing myself to kind of, okay, well, I'll have curiosity about this person. I'll see what they have to offer. Okay, I'll make an appointment and listen to what their pitch is. And then it turns out really well. So there seems to be an element just in terms of exploring emails from random strangers that you don't know that somehow got your email.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. That's a great one. See, I don't have that. I do very like people just put something on my calendar, and we've thought of filtering it more. And I think we will because a lot of our business is word of mouth. I would say like 70%. So we get a lot of connections via actual people we know. So it's kind of like already vetted. Then at that point, I'm like, absolutely, yes. I trust these people and I want to give it a shot for the call. But I imagine that, yeah, if there was a floods and floods of emails, I too would invite my team to also use their intuition on specific things like that. I think that's great. I must be really supportive for you.
It's nice for the team too, to be able to look at like, I'll ask what's energizing you when we have the choice. We have the choice between doing 10 different things. Well, what's energizing you right now? Obviously we can't like not make products because that's what, so there's certain limitations to that. But I love being able to encourage the team to be following their own sense of energy as well.
I love that.
So let's talk about delegation. What gives you the strength to be able to you have an assistant, right?
I have an assistant who's mostly doing bookkeeping for us.
Oh, cool.
I did have an assistant and we pivoted. Our contract ended around COVID time. But yeah, I had no problem delegating at the time, to be honest. And I still, my copy edit, like anyone that I feel like could know a little bit more than me, I instantly delegate. Like anything where I'm like, I see you. Like I think this. Like, yeah, that's where, but sorry, finish your question. Were you going to ask me anything else around that?
Yeah, no, just like what leads you to, not everybody has somebody who's like booking their whole calendar for them and setting up appointments. So just like your comfort level, how you came to your comfort level with that.
So I'm managing. Yeah, I have people putting things on my calendar. Yes. They always ask me, what do you feel about this first, to a certain degree, unless I give full permission, like, hey, within this time block, everything goes and it's fine. Because I'm kind of a calendar nerd, I do manage my client meetings and things like that, my client appointments. But even for a time, I had someone managing my client appointments, and that felt really good. I think it's just trust. I think I just trust people that know. to know me. And if anything doesn't like feel aligned, I'll tell them, like, let's try something different next time. Or I pretty much I'm very open with the intuitive scheduling. I set a lot of boundaries. I even had someone reached out to me. I forget who it was on the team, or yeah, that I was partnering with, something like that. And I was like, oh, sorry, I can't do this because like I have too many calls that day or something like that. They were just like, wow, I can't believe you actually set the boundaries that you are talking about or that you want to set, because it's hard. It's sometimes hard for people to do that because they want to say yes to everything. But yeah, the delegation definitely comes from trust and being fully open and transparent with myself so that they fully know me, and that's it. I think that builds trust too, just being fully open myself. I trust them. I think maybe I trust people easily as well. I do. I just believe in people, and I just believe that they, if something negative happens or bad, that's also part of the divine plan. Maybe I'll learn a lesson because of it or something.
Is it hard for you to fire people?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you tell?
I mean, that's always kind of like, I trust people so easily. Like, I'm one of them
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah. Can you tell? That hasn't happened yet. No, it has. It has. But yeah, it's hard for me because I care about people so much and I get like invested in who they are. I think that's the beauty and the curse of loving people. You just love people, and then it gets more challenging to do that kind of stuff. But it's kind of, I always go back to the divine plan, kind of like what you said earlier. Like, I trust that it's kind of like canceling an appointment. You trust that they're going to benefit from it. It's almost like if this letting go happens, like I trust that that's in their highest good too. Something's going to happen that brings them a lot of prosperity or joy or something. That's what I'll tell myself in my next
yeah, I mean,
situation.
it's also how we learn. Yeah, it's how we learn. Like I've had some people, I let go of some people in the past, and they've come back to me like years later and said, "Oh my God, I remember when you said this one thing, and I, changed my life." And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't know the impact of our words, and especially when we're like, not wanting to have conflict and really wanting to respect where somebody's at. But if the more we can just like straight shoot,
Yeah.
it really makes such a big difference. But it's not easy.
Yeah.
Humans, right? We're all complex. Is there anything else that's like really top of mind lately for you, or something that's really you're passionate about, or something you've been thinking a lot about lately?
Yeah, I think there is. I've been thinking a lot about changes, especially with the time that we're in now, and how many changes. And I've had people in our community reflecting on this too, like how many changes have you had in your life, transitions where, they've ended up benefiting you or serving you, and but they might have seemed hard, and how that changed your identity. I'm fascinated by identities. Like well, in flower essences, there's like each one has represents a personality, and like I always found that fascinating because I was like, so true. Like we all have these masks or these energies that just come in as part of the subconscious and whatever else programming the mind, and there's all these identities. And what I've seen, and in my journey I experienced a lot of judgment in myself of switching identities. So I've been, and part of this own who you are has been like, if you're going through an identity shift, like let's say like because of all of this year in 2020 or whatever it is in your life, you've shed certain parts of your life or you've transitioned into new ones. I think being mindful of how much you're judging yourself for those changes is really important, and definitely a lesson that I've learned, because I remember, because even as I went on my spiritual journey, I was like really intense yogi and kind of like a recluse. I didn't really like see anybody. I didn't really go out much. I was like really in a deep spiritual place. And I remember at some point afterward, like maybe like a year later or so, I started like having an identity crisis. I was like, wait, that was weird. Was that weird? Like, why did I do that? Like, why did that happen? Or was that too much? Kind of on like the going back to too much. And I feel like in whatever change people are experiencing, and for your listeners too, because I know that so many people are going through transitions this year, is that just having grace with yourself in those like uncertain moments and the foggy ones of like, who am I or who am I becoming and what am I getting rid of and what am I gaining or whatever it is. I think to just allow that stuff to happen, like to just like continue to step into the next person you're being or becoming without judging the past or the path that you're on. That's been something that's like been really deep in my mind that I've been like writing about and reflecting on a lot.
What would be an example of something that you would judge yourself for changing?
Oh, I'll give you a great example of so this transition of me owning who I am as like a more high energy, sometimes too much person, we'll put in quotes. I judged myself for coming back to that because of the yogi spiritual journey. So like I thought I was supposed to be more zen and more calm because I was a yoga teacher and like I literally like I had this dialogue in my head. I was like, wait, this doesn't match the like what I'm supposed to be. Like I went through this whole transformation and I loved it. And so when I started like with the little things of like getting really excited and like moving a lot. Like my boyfriend does like this little motion with his hands where he's like, this is your like, zzz, 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 zzz. Like I'm like one of these people that just keeps bouncing around. I'm like, so when I started doing that again, I was like, oh no, am I going back into old patterns of like getting overly excited and moving around a lot? Like, oh no, I'm not Zen anymore. I'm not meditating enough, or I'm not doing yoga enough. And I started to judge myself for like normal, it was like I went on one opposite side of the pendulum. And then when I tried to swing back, it felt really weird. And I was like definitely judging myself. And it was a very confusing, weird time. And then I realized that I didn't have to be anything but myself. And yeah, it's been a big eye-opening time. But that's definitely the most recent time of judging a transition for sure.
What do you think most people are afraid of happening if they're too much?
I think it might be a worry about other people's perception of being too much. Yeah. Like I think I'm just looking at my own experience or like not meeting someone else's expectation of how you're supposed to show up. Kind of mix of these like I would be like, oh, my client doesn't expect me to show up super excited today. We were supposed to start with a meditation. So I would literally be like, I was literally like trying to calm myself down. Okay, I'm gonna walk into this more sad. And then I'd be like, and then within 5 minutes of like 2 minutes of seeing her, I'd get so excited. I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And then I'd be like, oh no, that's not what you want, or that's not what you expect. It would kind of be, and I think, and actually going into spiritual communities, sometimes I worry about that because everybody is like Zen. I mean, I'm generalizing, but there's like so to come in too much, I always felt, I think it's a subconscious like worry of judgment. What do you think? I saw your thoughts.
I know what you're talking about. I had an experience a week ago. It was like where I could see someone had an idea about what spiritual would look like. It was very soft spoken, very grateful, thank you. And that's true. It can be like that. It can also be fierce. It can also be loud. You can be joyful. You can swear. You can be laughing at the top of your lungs. Right. There's so many expressions of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. You said it beautifully.
Okay. So last question as we wrap up. Any tips on how you allow yourself more and more to be yourself?
Oh yeah. I would start with rediscovery a little bit, like diving. If you feel like you've lost yourself too, or that you've been resistant, I think that like there's this period of like rediscovery, like trying new things again, of like, I think that, and this kind of goes back to the intuitive scheduling of like experimenting and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, seeing how you react. So using principles of mindfulness to just rediscover and do this more about like the curiosity about your personality and your character that you've developed over many years. I know that these are the human parts, like as we talk about, like this is the human part. And so I think it's getting closer to the human side of you again and having fun with that experience and testing things out. And of course, always going back to the balance of like your true nature and your soul and like letting that shine in the way that feels good and aligned for you. And yeah, I think that's it. It's not like, I don't know how tangible that is, but I've been going on such a fun journey of rediscovery. I think it's been that way forever, probably my whole life.
It just seems like awareness is key, right? Because if it's like around food, maybe today, in this very moment, you feel like having a piece of dark chocolate, and maybe in 5 hours from now, you just don't feel like it. And probably
Yeah.
so many things are like that, right? And
Yeah.
is not to say that it's based on mood. It's more just like the awareness of what's needed,
Yeah.
what your body needs, what your energy needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it sounds like
Body,
that's a huge part of intuitive scheduling.
it is. Yeah. It's what your body needs, what your soul needs, your energy.
Okay, so last thing, give me some homework. What should I try this next week?
Okay, I love this. Okay, well, it sounds like the midday blocking sounded interesting to you, right? That was something that you said you hadn't really thought of. So, as homework, can you fit in at least an hour of midday blocks? Doesn't have to be a full chunk, even though that would be ideal if you could do a full chunk of an hour. But it could be two increments of 30 minutes. I would try longer as like some daring homework. And in conjunction to that homework, I want you to write down the greatest things that would just bring you joy, the simplest things, actually, the simplest but greatest things that bring you joy. You may have this list somewhere already, but I would try to write down 10 things. And within that hour block that you're going to create for next week, choose something on your joy list to do.
Fun.
And please let me know how it goes.
I love it. And I invite all the listeners to do the same.
Yes, listeners, do it. Let me know how it goes. I love it. I live this every day. So nice. So nice.
It's so
excited
great.
for you.
Okay, I'll give you some feedback once I try
please
it.
do. Okay, please
I'm already
do.
excited about the things. I'm thinking about the things I'm going to do.
Oh my God, good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Antoinette. I really appreciate you being here.
Of course. Thank you, Katie. This was really special. Thank you.
And if people would like more of your team, or they have like a particular issue they really want coaching on, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Instagram at Antoinette Beauchamp, ANTOINETTE. Beauchamp is BEAU. It's a mouthful. BEAUCHAMP. Or our website is AB Coached. A bit more simplified. abcoached.com. And that's it.
Nice. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the Flowerlounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.